Welcome to Escape. Stillnes Speaks by Eckhart Tolle. Chapter 10, Suffering and the End of Suffering. The interconnectedness of all things. Buddhists have always known it, and physicists now confirm it. Nothing that happens is an isolated event. It only appears to be. The more we judge and label it, the more we isolate it. The wholeness of life becomes fragmented through our thinking. Yet, the totality of life has brought this event about. It is part of the web of interconnectedness, that is, the cosmos. This means whatever is could not be otherwise. In most cases, we cannot begin to understand what role a seamless, senseless event may have within the totality of the cosmos, but recognizing its inevitability within the vastness of the whole can be the beginning of an inner acceptance of what is, and thus a realignment with the wholeness of life. True freedom and the end of suffering is living in such a way as if you had completely chosen whatever you feel or experience at this moment. This inner alignment with now is the end of suffering. Is suffering really necessary? Yes and no. If you had not suffered as you have, there would be no depths to you as a human being, no humility, no compassion. You would not be listening to this now. Suffering cracks open the shell of ego, and then comes a point where it has served its purpose. Suffering is necessary until you realize that it is unnecessary. Much suffering, much unhappiness arises when you take each thought that comes into your head for the truth. Situations don't make you unhappy. They may cause you physical pain, but they don't make you unhappy. Your thoughts make you unhappy. Your interpretations, the stories you tell yourself make you unhappy. The thoughts I'm thinking right now make me unhappy. This realization breaks your unconsciousness identification with those thoughts. When you are suffering, when you are unhappy, stay totally with what is now. Unhappiness or problems cannot survive in the now. Suffering begins when you mentally name or label a situation in some way as undesirable or bad. You resent a situation, and that resentment personalizes it and brings in the reactive me. Naming and labeling are habitual, but that habit can be broken. Start practicing not naming with small things. If you miss the plane, drop and break a cup, or slip and fall in the mud, can you refrain from naming the experience as bad or painful? Can you immediately accept the isness of that moment? Naming something as bad causes an emotional contraction within you. When you let it be without naming it, enormous power is suddenly available to you. The contraction cuts you off from that power, the power of life itself. Whatever your life situation is, how would you feel if you completely accepted it as it is right now? There are many subtle and not so subtle forms of suffering that are so normal. They are usually not recognized as suffering and may even feel satisfying to the ego. Irritation, impatience, anger, having an issue with something or someone, resentment, complaining. You can learn to recognize all those forms of suffering as they happen and know at this moment, I am creating suffering for myself. If you are in the habit of creating suffering for yourself, you are probably creating suffering for others too. These unconscious mind patterns tend to come to an end simply by making them conscious, by becoming aware of them as they happen. You cannot be conscious and create suffering for yourself. True freedom and the end of suffering is living in such a way as if you had completely chosen whatever you feel or experience at this moment. This, in alignment with now, is the end of suffering. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Follow along for more to come, and until then, cheerio.